your business on 105.9 The Region.
Teresa Di Felice from CAA joining me right now for another one of our chats about, well, your favorite topic, Teresa, and mine, and that is driving.
Correct. Good to see you, Kevin.
Nice to see you. And today we're going to be talking about something that I bet a lot of people don't even think there's anything wrong with, and that is sleepy drivers.
Absolutely. This is a bigger issue than people think. And it's a really difficult one to tackle because, again, there's not an impairment per se. It's just someone didn't get enough sleep. It can be, different from day to day or drive to drive. And yet the consequences are pretty significant.
And the fact is, it is socially acceptable to be dead tired and drive. It's not socially acceptable to drink and drive. If I said to you, oh man, I had about 6 beer and I got behind the wheel, you would look at me and you'd wag your finger and say, how dare you? But if I said, oh, I didn't get any sleep last night, I was so tired, I was nodding off, I don't remember the last 20 kilometers, you would just say, oh yeah, I've been there.
Well, somebody will match it with a story, correct?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like they've had their own story, and we think nothing of the fact, oh, you got to be careful, or you shouldn't do that. No, it's like, oh, when I had that happen to me a while ago, I couldn't believe it. So it is something that we're not stopping in the same way when it comes to impaired or distracted, but we probably should be.
And the reason why we know impaired driving is wrong is because your reflexes are slowed considerably. Same thing when you're sleepy, right?
Absolutely. It's, you're slowed, you're not paying as attention, you've got a bit of tunnel vision. That comment that you made about, oh, I don't even remember the last few kilometers of my drive is so common when it comes to sleepy drivers. Not even people realizing how tired they were. And then they get home and they have this realization or it hits them that they don't remember the last few kilometers. Think about had something run out in front of your vehicle, whether it's an animal, a person, another car, a cyclist. Think about if you didn't remember even getting through the drive, what would have happened in that instance where you would have had to react to protect the person or whatever it is that's got in front of you or yourself.
And it's tough to tell people, especially, okay, I'm going to say it, especially men who want to get the trip done with right away, and I can do it in one sitting. So yes, I am driving to Timmins, and I can do what's Timmins, 8 hours thereabouts. I can do it in one drive. We just have to stop and get gas somewhere. How do you convince people that this is not okay?
So this is a real big challenge that we face, and we have tips that we provide. First of all, you probably shouldn't be driving more than 800 kilometers. And even that's a lot in one day or in one drive. Plan for it to take longer. You should be getting out of your vehicle probably every 2 hours, even more if you need to. But every 2 hours, don't just stop your vehicle somewhere. Get out, walk around, go splash water on your face, do whatever it is just to keep the blood flowing, because it is very difficult and you shouldn't be sitting there for hours on end. Just like we say on a plane, right? Get up and walk around every hour. It's the same thing when you're behind the wheel. If you're driving long distances, every couple of hours, get out of that vehicle and take a walk and get some fresh air and move around your vehicle so that you are refreshing yourself for the next leg of your trip.
Okay, I just looked it up because we shouldn't be speaking of generalities if I was talking about Timmins. And this is a good example because it's under, I think, the 800 kilometers you were talking about, but just. So it's about 600 kilometers away. It's going to take you 7 hours to get there.
Yeah. And ideally, if you're going to do a drive like that, bring someone else along so that they can co-drive, right? Share the driving with somebody, recognize if you're tired and you need to stop. And you might need to alter your plans. So plan for the unexpected, right? Bring some things if you need to get over, overnight or something so that you can break up that time. I mean, obviously get plenty of night's rest or sleep before you do a drive like that. Drive at times when you're normally awake. So, sometimes people are like, I'm just going to drive all night. Well, if you normally sleep all night, that's not the time, because your body recognizes certain patterns. Your body recognizes when you normally go into sleep mode, We talk about it with weight all the time, right? Your body sort of gets
Mhm.
used to a certain weight. It also gets used to a certain sleep rhythm. If you are actually switching that up and you're not preparing for it or doing it properly, it can be dangerous. And actually, police often will tell you that they get calls from people saying that they see an impaired driver on the road because someone's, weaving or sort of veering out of their lane. And meanwhile, in a lot of instances, it's a drowsy driver, not a drunk driver.
And you can also make it part of your trip. They always say getting there is half the fun. So if you're going, and again, we're using the example of Timmins, just it's just pick that out of a hat. But there's a beautiful waterfall just in the Bracebridge area. So plan to pull over there, bring something to eat, sit by the waterfall, and just breathe for a little bit. It's not going to make you that much later.
Yeah, recognize if you need to take a nap. There are rest stops along the highway for a reason too. Sometimes recognizing that we normally think about it in terms of truckers, right? So commercial transport drivers, they have places where they can actually park their vehicles overnight and sleep. Not, always the ideal, or people, are worried about that kind of thing, but they are rest stops for a reason. It's giving you that time. Maybe you need to eat. Maybe you need some coffee. Maybe you need to make a call and say, I need to change plans. There's no shame in recognizing that you're too tired to drive. And we do have to look at this as seriously as we do as other road safety issues and concerns that we hear about. This is a different thing. It's not something you consumed and made you do it. It just happens to be like our lifestyles are busy. We're trying to fit in a lot. But we need to recognize that when we're too tired to drive, we're not a safe driver.
The time you spend makes the journey seem a little less stressful too. If you can pull over every once in a while, you're not as tired when you get to the end of the journey either.
Yeah. I mean, people just think, I just want to get there. When I get there, I can sleep all I want, or I can rest all I want. Right. But, again, if you've driven and you realize you're not really remembering the last few kilometers, if you have, if your thoughts are starting to disconnect and wander, you're having trouble focusing or keeping your eyes open, your thoughts are heavy, your head is heavy, you are sort of veering lanes out of your lane, you're yawning a lot. If you're too close or too far to other vehicles, other cars are honking at you, and you're missing some basic signals or even like traffic signals, this is telling you that something's wrong. You're probably too tired to drive, and you need to come up with another plan.
And the CAA also lobbies government for things that are needed for drivers. So you have to do me a favor. Maybe you're already lobbying for this. I don't know, Teresa. We don't do a good enough job in this province about having rest stops. They're sporadic. They're few and far between. I'll use driving to Sudbury as an example. I think there's like one or two, and that's it the entire way. Down in the States along the interstate, they have all these rest stops. Now, I'm not talking full, McDonald's, Burger King things. I'm talking about a parking lot, maybe some vending machines, a washroom. Doesn't have to be staffed, just somewhere every hour that there is a place for vehicles to pull off. And when you drive the 401 and all the 400 series highways, you can go hours and hours without ever really having a highway rest stop.
I do know it was probably about 2 years ago, the province was looking at the rest stops and what the strategy is for rest stops in the province. Are there ways to, adapt and make changes to the ones we have? Do we need to look at sort of other stretches of road? And of course, municipalities along some of these routes have lobbied about some of these long stretches of road that need some sort of, changes to them to make them safer. People also don't like to go off the highway. There are exits. Usually those signs along the highway will say, there's a coffee shop, a rest stop, a bathroom, or whatever it may be. Sometimes we may actually have to get off the actual highway, and the ramp is just, a block away, or wherever you need to get to is actually a really short distance. Sometimes it can be confusing. I've taken, between restaurant stops, gotten off and had this long windy road to get off the highway, then back on the highway, just to get a little break somewhere. But I do know that this is something that they were looking at a little while ago. We haven't talked to them most recently, but it's definitely part of our ongoing conversations when we're addressing road safety with them. And it is definitely, on that list of all the things that we need to keep taking a look at and keep talking about and make some changes.
And you can look up online on any of the map services, little restaurants and places, and you find these little gems because you're forcing yourself to get off the highway. Let me share one with you. Huntsville, it's like literally a 2-minute drive off the highway. There's this restaurant called Three Sisters. It is so good, and it's quick, and you just get off the highway and you walk around a little bit, and then you're easy to get back on, but you've discovered a nice little place.
This is that time of year, right? We've got the long weekend coming up, or we're in the long weekend, but it's August. People are finally saying, okay, time to take those vacations before the fall hits. We've been cooped up for a long time just due to the pandemic. People are eager to get out and about. But one of the big things that has been talked about over the last 2 years is, learning about your province, learning about this beautiful province we call Ontario and all the wonderful places that you have to offer. And actually, the government of Ontario is offering a rebate that if you collect your receipts from traveling within October, families can claim these on their taxes. And it's called a staycation rebate. And so, explore and take those opportunities to take those rest stops or off the beaten path stops, plan your trip so you can enjoy those. And in fact, you've got some coverage in terms of if you are tired and you want to take that hotel stay so that you can break up a long distance, whether it's to Timmins, especially if it's to Sault Ste. Marie, or some of these really long drives. Do that because this is the year with these kinds of incentives to help you explore the province. But maybe it's about also the new habits we learn to need to learn in order to all be a little bit safer.
So much stuff on your website too for drivers to go check out and helps them plan the trip.
Yes, you can go to www.casco.com. The road safety stuff is under the advocacy section, but we've got trip planners and maps that you can pick up at retail locations, where you can get discounts along the way, whether it's hotels or restaurants. So, obviously, if you're a CAA member, you get to enjoy some of those benefits. 3 cents off at Shell, because let's face it, gas is pretty pricey these days. So 3 cents off at the pump if you're a CAA member. But there are other, affinity programs. So think about all those things as you're planning your road trips for the remainder of the summer. If you're partaking in just some summer fun, remember to get a good night's sleep before you drive, or get your naps in before your long drives back. And if you are going to be drinking the night before, we also caution about, getting up too early because you still might not have sobered up yet. And
I have been with police on a lot of ride spot checks that they've done in the mornings, and the number of people who are still impaired, and they say, well, I haven't had a drink in hours. I was at a bender last night, 11 or 12 midnight, but it's 7 a.m. No, you can still be legally impaired.
Absolutely. This is something that we've noticed over the last couple of years, more than that, actually. A lot of ride stops are starting to happen during the day or in the morning after a holiday or a Friday night or a Saturday night or a Sunday, because people are, consuming a lot of alcohol and they're thinking if they're out partying. But if you're getting behind the wheel the next day, your body may not be sober. You may think you're sober because it was hours away. But that's not the case. And often you can register on the readings of being impaired.
And you can still be charged. All right, Teresa Di Felice, always a pleasure.
Mine too, Kevin. And enjoy your long weekend and your August.
We appreciate your business. We are 1059 The Region.